And we're back and zoomed out, zoomed in. There we go. All right, we're back for another Bridging the Gap. A lot of interesting things happened between the last time we spoke and this time. So much interesting stuff happened that we're on the same topic. So I sent you something that I found on Facebook that I thought was pretty interesting that we'll share with you first.
Definitely. So it's laugh like you're 10, party like you're 20, travel like you're 30, think like you're 40, advise like you're 50, care like you're 60, love like you're 70.
Laugh like you're 10. I would have probably dropped that to maybe 4 or 5.
There's definitely a purity.
Yeah,
at
there's
that
a purity
age.
of laughing at 4 or 5, that belly laugh of innocence that
Yeah.
I'd probably go for.
And like watching a 4 or 5-year-old laugh and play with bubbles.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish I got as much enjoyment out of anything as they seem to be getting popping bubbles.
Yeah. It's
I agree. I might drop
it's that
that.
whole experience.
I get the cleanness of the even numbers,
Yes,
but I think
exactly.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I like the idea of the experiencing something new. That's the neatest thing about being a teacher for me, being a parent and an educator as well for in clinical psychology, basically educating people, is seeing the wonder of someone having experience.
Definitely.
What I think is really neat about the conciseness of it is it's sharing the epitome of that experiential time in life. And I don't know, it's so funny, not having been 50, 60, or 70, I'm trying to advise myself and others like I'm 50, but I'm 45. Am I close enough, I guess? I don't know. Maybe like peak.
What's the less than, more than? What's
Exactly.
the range
I mean,
on these?
they're like 20-year-olds that are millionaires. So I mean, they might have been successful. So they might be traveling like they're 30 in their 20s. I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's name exceptions to
and
the
I don't
rule
think
all
I
time.
ever partied like I was 20.
Yeah.
I think I skipped that.
I think I partied like I was 20 when I was in high school. And then when I was 20, I was not really partying. Traveling in 30, yeah, I guess that's probably about right, Hopefully make enough money you can travel at that point.
Yeah.
Unless you have kids, then
everything's more expensive.
Everything's more expensive, and everyone's like, oh my God, I need a break from being on vacation with my kids. That's always my funniest thing, just listening to parents come back from vacation like, I'm so exhausted from my kids having a good time, because that's it. It's a 24/7, cruise coordinator for the kids when you're on vacation with them.
Definitely. And I feel like the middle is the toughest. Travel like you're 30, if you can afford it. Think you're like you're 40. Which 40-year-old? Because I know plenty of 40-year-olds I don't want to think like.
Yeah.
But the two ends are there is a kind of love when people reach that older age. Yeah. Not everyone who's 70 feels it, but for those that do, that it's hard to really get to that level of appreciation is when like, I'm getting to the end of things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they didn't put regret like you're 70.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They missed that
Be
one.
bitter like you're 70.
Yeah, be bitter and angry.
Those are other people.
Scream at the younger generation.
Get off my lawn! But I guess that's at least the ideal that you're trying to aim for. So, love like you're 70. It's interesting. It reminds me a little bit of the saying that I mangled last time we were talking, that youth is wasted on the young and wisdom is wasted on the old. And that's kind of this situation, which
definitely
kind of leads me to part of the conversation we were talking about just off camera, which is how many people kind of ruin the experience by either force-feeding the experience at an age or overly preparing the experience to the point that they sour the experience.
Yeah.
It's almost akin to telling a joke backwards when you say the punchline
Ooh,
first.
I like that. That's a good way to say it. Yeah,
and then
definitely.
Then it's just not as exciting.
Yeah.
So a long time ago, I wrote a blog about probably something like the immediate gratification trap. It's probably, I know that was the title of one of them, and I think this was it, which is, what do you do when you're a really young kid and you've had the most idyllic experiences? We kind of touched upon this maybe last podcast. But if you have all the most idyllic experiences when you're young, what do you have to strive for when you're older? If you're driving around in a Bugatti electric car at the age of 8, on your estate. You know,
Yeah.
you know, it's all downhill from there, you know?
Well, what's left? Yeah. Other than to mess that up.
Yeah. No, exactly.
But I agree with you. Same thing with mistakes. Is that, and that's a common thing people say. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did.
Yeah.
That's how you ended up as you.
Yeah.
And
As long as you-
sometimes people finish it
Yes.
with something I like, which is I want you to make your own mistakes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. Make your own mistakes. I'll try and teach you to avoid at least from the major pitfalls as to how I ended up in this bad spot in life.
Yeah. Or if you teach a kid how to get up from like, you're probably going to make some of these mistakes throughout the course of your life.
Yeah.
Here's how you get up from those mistakes, because you're going to make them.
Yeah.
You know, whatever those mistakes are that you're teaching to that child. But if you just say, avoid this situation entirely, I've already done it, take my word for it.
Yes.
It's not good.
Yeah. Don't date when you're really young. Well, that's not helpful.
Yeah, and I'm sure every 15-year-old is going to heed that advice. Like, it's not worth it. Just focus on yourself and who you want to be.
Yeah.
Would you have listened to that when you were 15? Because I wouldn't have.
Well, it's the never say never kind of crowd crowd thinking, and that's never helpful because it goes back to one of the other adages we were talking about. It's funny how these come back up, which is curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. There's something in the experience of curiosity that even if it burns you a little bit, it should correct you or reward you in some way. So one of the things that I've said, and I'm not sure if I said it in previous podcasts, we say so much at this point, but I say this a lot to kids, and I remind myself that there are no bad experiences, only experiences you haven't learned from. And that to me is the biggest thing, is if you're not getting an opportunity to learn from the experience, then you kind of failed at it. And the most important thing is, if you screw up, you know, as long as it didn't kill you, you know, get something out of it, figure something out, learn something from it, have a good takeaway, and move on, so that the next time you experience something like that, you might be able to maximize the value a little bit better.
And like I said, I think in the first podcast, that's what my son and I always talk about, is the only true failure is wasting your failures.
Yes.
Because then it really is a loss, because then you failed at something and you got nothing from it.
Yeah.
But as long as you learn something from every failure, then you're smarter than you were before the failure. You're better than you were before the failure. And then the failure's not a bad thing anymore. It's a positive thing. It's a learning experience.
I think that's one of my saving graces of being a goofball as a kid, is being nearly immune to embarrassment.
That is a good thing.
And it's kind of helped me out in life, because it's allowed me to kind of walk away unscathed, like, you know, it's like the old Pee Wee Herman Big Adventure, like, I meant to do that. You know, I just kind of probably did mean to do it, and then realized just how foolish it was.
Yeah.
And a lot of those things I did out of physical feats of stupidity that I probably shouldn't have walked away from, that by the luck of grace, God, and gravity, and maybe a little bit of good body control, I managed to survive some of the things that I did with my body. I was like American Ninja Warrior before it was even a thing. Out of sport, I would climb up my house to enter through my bedroom window that had no ledge. So I basically had to swing my left leg from my right side where the rooftop was to put my left foot on the windowsill, which slopes outward. If you don't know how windowsills work, they all slope outward so that the water doesn't go into the house. And then I'd bring either a little knife or a key or eventually I started poking a hole into it and screen and pop the screen out. Then I'd move the screen onto the rooftop. Then I'd open up the window, because the latch happened to be broken, which is one of the reasons why I started doing this. The latch was broken, and I would enter in my bedroom just that way.
And how many kids get the freedom to do stuff like that now?
Probably not a lot. Not a lot. Not like, at least without having a lot of safety equipment and, you know, helmets,
harnesses, and it's at a facility where someone's trained and
not condoning my behavior, but
there's learning in that, right? My brother told a story at my wedding that neither one of my parents had ever heard, which is when they weren't home, we used to set up a couch in their bedroom as a vault. And then we'd run up to the couch, vault off of it, do a flip, and land on the bed. So I did a perfect backflip, by the way.
That's awesome.
Landed on the bed, smashed it, the leg breaks. I slide off the bed. Everything slides off the bed.
The actual bed broke.
So my brothers and I think to ourselves, okay, we can't fix this.
Yeah.
So we have to make it look somehow like they broke it.
Yes. Like, quick, set it up.
Yep. So we got a bunch of blocks and stuff like that, and we spread them around a little so it looked like we were just playing with blocks, and that's why there were blocks under the bed. Stacked them up on each other, rested the bed on it with the leg under there, made the bed again, made it look all nice, set everything up. So my dad lays on it later. It breaks, everything slides off, he yells, we come running in, and we're like, what happened? Like, what's going on?
That's
so
awesome.
From that point until I got married, he thought that he broke the bed. And then at my brother giving the best man toast, he finds out that, we broke it and we fixed it the entire time. And you saying that, I was just thinking, how many kids even have the opportunity to do something stupid like that? But there was a lot of learning in there.
That is fantastic. Sibling teamwork?
Yeah.
That's so rare.
And huddle up, no one say anything, we're all in this together,
And
we're all
for
getting in
how
trouble
many years
together.
did that hold together?
Yeah.
Man, you guys could have survived
Well
in
over a
Gulag.
decade. Yeah.
Wow, you guys definitely could have survived in the Gulag or any other prison. Holy cow, that's fantastic.
And it's a funny story now, which is great, but it's also it was a good learning opportunity. We were all game planning. We were coming up with a solution. We were trying to deflect blame. And not like all of them are good lessons, but it's a lesson to learn.
Yes. It was a good problem-solving lesson.
Yeah.
And
just the freedom to do something stupid.
Yes.
Because that was also the last time we used my parents' couch as a vault. Even once they got a new bed.
Everyone learned a lesson. And your dad lost weight.
Oh my gosh, am I that heavy? I broke the bed just by laying on it?
There's a really cute little gif where two dogs are begging the female, the mother, the owner. I don't know why I'm saying all this weird stuff, because I'm just getting a picture of this woman in the bed, so I'm thinking female, woman, that doesn't matter. Anyway, the dog's owner, how the brain does and doesn't work. The dogs hold the leash in the mouth, and she's just waving them off. They drop the leash, and eventually they pull the scale out, and the woman steps out of bed, steps on a scale, and the dogs scurry behind her and put their paws on the scale. She picks it up, shakes it, puts it back down, and the dogs scurry back around, put their feet on the scale, and then takes them for a walk. So what I love is that the story is still, there's nothing negative about the story.
Yeah.
Sure, you guys lied for a decade or whatever, but it was a lie that was perpetrated out of the safety of the group.
Yeah.
And it benefited the group, and it was something that at that age, it wasn't like you were all working and you said, sorry, mom and dad, we bought you a new bed.
Yeah.
So it's all those things kind of go into one. It's like, how do you solve a problem as a kid without kind of going through those messes together and figuring out, okay, how do we all survive without mom and dad killing us? And they're not going to kill you, but at the same time,
and
it's awesome.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who would think, well, I don't want my kids to learn that lesson. I want them to learn to be honest all the time, no matter what happens, every single moment of their lives.
Yeah.
And I would ask that person, is that what you do at work? And if they said yes, they'd be lying.
Yes.
Because everyone's trying to play a game, get a little more ahead, and not like you're trying to undercut somebody else, but it's a good social learning thing to learn how to okay, I don't want to get in trouble. And I got to figure this situation out.
Yeah.
And we learned we probably shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I
totally forgot the report for today's, meeting.
Yeah. Why did you forget it? I didn't feel like doing it. I actually did remember it last night, and I didn't want to do it, and I didn't have time to come up with a lie. No one's ever said that at work. I'd be impressed with anyone who has, actually.
It's like, quick, get all your friends and coworkers that you can really trust.
Yeah.
Like, I need your help real quick. We need to just pull this information together and do this.
Make it look like this took all night.
Yeah, because I totally screwed up. And I owe
Yeah.
you beers, coffee, meal, whatever.
Yeah.
Vacation, just help me with this bind.
And at the end of it, someone has my back.
Also, it also kind of makes you trust people more if you have a little something on each other. So the three of you probably had a better bond of trust because no one wanted to out the other. So if you know something went poorly for some other coworker, remember that time, I saved your butt?
And all those little stories that we all decide not to tell anybody, that's building trust. It's like, it's us, it's us. This stuff is us.
I have a friend that is a used car dealer, and he has the funniest sayings, and one of them I've shared in the past, which is take my advice, I don't use it. And one of the things he says is money on the street is better than money in the bank. Because and he teases, he calls them punk dues. He's like, you owe me. You owe me. And it's the same type of thing. When people owe you money, it's like, and they're good for it. They're close to you. Yeah. They're good for it because they know they're going to bail you out, and they'll probably bail you out plus interest. But you never ask a friend for interest. But if you really needed the help, and they're like, dude, I need that grand. They're like, okay, let me give you $1,000. I owe you a little bit more, so here's a little extra.
Yeah, a bank's not going to do that.
Yeah, the bank isn't be like, sure, let me give you $1,000 plus 200.
Yeah, they'll be like, you don't have enough in here. We actually took some out.
Yeah. You remember you didn't access your account in the last month? Well, we have a fee.
We withdrew some for you.
We withdrew $12.95.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hello, puppers. I think one of the biggest problems that adults and certainly teachers alike have to be wary of is offering too much information so that kids avoid things altogether and they don't actually have the experience. Or worse, as we've discussed before, parents who just completely remove the experience from happening.
Yeah. I ask my kids questions all the time that I already know the answer to. And sometimes another adult in the room, be it a family member or somebody else, will give the answer. And I'm like, stop asking him for a reason. It's not because I don't know. It's because I want him to think about it. Do you think that's a good idea? What might happen if you did that again? And it takes a while to process through it. So someone will just be like, oh, it'll fall off. Come on.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just took it from him.
Yeah, you stole it.
Because now this isn't meaningful anymore.
Yeah.
The rest of this conversation is meaningless. I may as well stop the conversation.
You splashed the pot. You knocked the house of cards over.
Exactly.
You threw the ball at the Jenga thing, whatever it is.
We were building something and you just came by and you're like, I'm tired of watching this.
Yeah, exactly. You have no patience. It's so funny because you're right. And part of that excitement is something that's built into us very early on, because you can see it even in the kids' classes where I'll ask someone a specific question because they're not answering questions. I know they know the answer. I know they have the capability of answering it. They're just shy, or they would just rather opt out.
Yeah. Well, there's the other kid doing this move. I know.
Yeah. The middle of the body. Straight punch. Now I got to ask another question.
Exactly. But you're asking that specific person for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think part of that navigation for me is reminding other kids that have their hands up, I know you know. So I've acknowledged their intelligence, which is really what they want, because it's okay. They're excited. When you're excited about something, you don't want to just pour water all over it all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to just give a little just slow down. Excuse me. And I think the bigger concern is that if you don't allow them to be excited about knowledge, you constantly squelch the fact that somebody already knows, and you constantly squelch the fact that, that's a bad idea, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Well, then they never really know exactly why.
And then they never really learn it, because you only really learn anything when you get the why.
Yeah.
If someone says, don't ever go over there, why is the first question. If they're like, don't worry about it, you're like, 100% going over there.
Yeah,
then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no way I'm not going over there. Yeah.
I mean, has anyone ever seen Stranger Things?
Exactly.
Or any other horror movie?
Exactly.
Well, I wonder what that noise is.
And it's especially believable when it's a kid. Because most kids would be like, that's terrifying, but I gotta know what it is.
I
gotta know what it is.
Gotta know. And it's probably what gets us into so much trouble and yet in so much joy,
Yeah. And you can either use that I gotta know to ruin it, or you can use that I gotta know to help them learn something.
Yeah, it's and siblings are so funny that way, because siblings like to do anything other than help you. They'll either want you to maintain naivete so they can keep ripping you, or they want to ruin it for you. Like, there's no such thing as Santa, you idiot. Like, what? Huh?
Yeah. That's how we build trust, right? Like that other story, and then we erode trust. My cousin and I used to build haunted houses for my brother. And one of the times we draped a sheet over the door and wrote, "Please run through," and closed the door behind the sheet. So he backs up and runs full speed into a closed door, which is horrible. But he is going to learn that, like, you know what? I'm not just going to Ron Burgundy the situation and do whatever it is the sign says. I'm going to check it out first.
That is great.
It's awful, but it's a brother thing to do.
That reminds me of my wife telling me a story about how she would torture her younger sister. Because I'm the younger brother, she's the older sister. So my wife would get really ticked off at her sister for whatever reason, or just because my wife is an imp, just wanted to torture her sister. And she tied all these different threads together so that they matched the color of the carpet in her bedroom, then the hallway, then her bedroom, and I don't know exactly what it was, but I think she tied it either to a shoe or to something that would fall down, like a lamp or something like that. And when they were going to bed, she just started tugging on, scaring the hell out of her sister. And there's something
and she
about
specifically got threads so you couldn't see it.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yes.
That's a lot of work that went into that.
No, my wife can be a procrastinator, but when it comes to torturing somebody, she's just like right in there.
I'm impressed, yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that will come in with a bucket of ice and toss it into the shower, type of thing.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And I hate it. As a younger brother and younger sibling, I'm like, I hate when you do that.
Not again.
Yeah. You scared me again. Yeah, so I think the danger we're talking about is apropos of the conversation that we had last week and leading up to the state of kids that's about anxiety and stress and suicidality, which is just not giving kids the ability to have their own personal attraction. And without the experience of friction, which is mistake and experience building. It's really funny, I never really thought about that combination of words until it just spilled out of my mouth. Experience building. Such a great combination of words I never really put together.
That is a perfect combination.
But that's exactly
of
what it is. You're
Yeah.
experiencing how to build your own storehouse of data points and tools that manipulate those data points to more and more progressively successive end results.
Yeah.
And if you rob any one of those tools, and experience is the biggest one.
And it's like me going into your toolbox and just taking stuff out and then saying, fix the house. It's like, well, you took my hammer, my drill, all my nails. What do you want me to do?
I'm going to take your head and go, now I fixed the nail.
Fix it.
Thank you.
Yeah. It is. It's robbing someone of it, even
Yeah.
though it seems like helping. Or
Yeah.
it seems like, sterilizing the environment because I want them to be pure as long as possible. You're robbing them of tools because you're robbing them of experience.
We've talked about this before. It's a little bit of the desire for the zero defect experience.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has some, if not regrets, they at least have some disappointing failures that pepper their lives. And they don't want to see somebody else go through what they went through because they're still attached to some childhood trauma. And an embarrassment, I think, is one of those big things. It's one of the things that drives me nuts about the statement, praise in public and reprimand in private, whereas praise in public and punish in private or something like that. There's something to be said for punishing in public.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everything. It's a little bit like lying. You sometimes just need to be softening the blow, which is, we could consider it a lie, but it's basically tact, which you don't learn without experience.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think of this new outfit?
Yeah. It's not my cup of tea. This is not what I would wear, but sure, it looks good on you.
Yeah.
Are you going to a funeral?
A lot nicer than, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ask the dog. So I think part of that issue is not wanting to experience embarrassment by remote kind of experience. It's like watching somebody else. It's like watching a horror movie. You want the people to not go into the basement. You want the people not to go into the dark woods and follow that sound. But at the same point, you're encouraging it by watching it. I know it sounds like
watching a horror movie.
Yeah, because you're watching a horror movie. So if you're watching it, you actually want to watch them do exactly what you didn't do.
Yeah.
So you do that for entertainment value, okay? But you won't allow a young kid to experience, again, not life-threatening danger.
Yeah.
But
not following Jason into the woods. But
exactly. Don't follow Jason into the woods. But it's at least just watch them, slip and fall, a little bit, And again, just the problems. Somebody is going to think, well, if I let my kid slip and fall, it's going to be that one time where the stars of the devil align and my kid cracks their head open and I'm the worst parent ever. I'm not saying whatever, but I'm saying you have no way of controlling that anyway.
Yeah.
Screaming at your kid at that very moment is not going to bring them to concentration, and nor can you ever dive in, unless you're in complete proximity of contact already, to stop and save it anyway.
And unless you have a bizarre plan as a parent, at some point they need to exist without you there to scream at them.
Yes.
So when are you expecting them to be able to do that?
I think I shared maybe in a previous podcast with you. I think it was a comedian, Chris Titus.
Yeah.
You ever hear?
Yep.
Oh my
definitely.
gosh, there's a hilarious bit he does on parenting. And he says, my son would try and poke his finger near the outlet, and my wife would always yell at him, or maybe not even slap his hand. I think that would be too, masculine, I guess, in this particular example he was giving. And he said, one day I was watching my son, and he was about to put his finger in the socket. I said, wait, no. Use this penny. He goes, my son got the shock of his life, and boy, did he never put his finger anywhere near that socket again.
And then someone's going to go, that's extremely dangerous.
Exactly.
You shouldn't. It's a joke.
Can you believe? I know.
It's a joke.
I know, but can you believe we have to actually?
We have to ruin the joke on the other end of the joke.
This is the problem. You force us to ruin everything. We have to stop the joke.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Warning: a joke about danger is about to happen.
Yeah.
If you are sensitive to jokes about danger, please fast forward 20 seconds.
If you have no sense of humor, please skip this segment.
Yeah. Have you not watched Tom and Jerry?
Now someone's going to go, Tom and Jerry is teaching bad lessons to children. That's extremely dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, don't hit each other with mallets.
But
that's exactly what we're talking about.
Acme.
Sterilize the environment.
Yeah, and it's just not really. It's not going to set up kids for the inevitable downtimes in their life.
Yeah.
And as we discussed before, the more you try and intervene on that, the less experience they'll have, the less resilience they'll have, the less purpose they'll have in life, because what's the point of life if not experiencing it?
Yeah, and we talked last time a little bit about suicidality and the spike in suicide in that younger generation. And when you want to find some of the rationale, you kind of just trace things backwards from, again, one of the number one things you look for is hopelessness.
Yeah.
And one of the leading causes of hopelessness is helplessness. Because if I can't change anything myself, then I'm very dependent on trust in my whole environment to change for me. And you shouldn't ever have that much faith in your environment that it's always going to just change for the better for you. So what leads to helplessness is an external locus of control. That believing that your life is controlled primarily by things that are outside of yourself, versus an internal locus of control, which is, that was my fault, what could I do differently? Well, the other person was a jerk. That's true, but I don't control them, I control myself. Internal locus of control. Why did my kid get a bad grade? It's the teacher's fault, it's music's fault, it's the video game's fault. That's teaching them from a young age. You're controlled by things outside of you, not inside of you. It's all about what happens in your environment and what your environment does, not what you do. So, I didn't get into that college. Let's appeal to the college. Well, what's your plan after that? Let's beg the college. Maybe we can donate money to the college. Which is still external. It's begging the college for a change. Instead of internal locus of control, what are you going to do about it? You didn't get into your favorite college. Well, I'm going to take a good hard look at all the other colleges I did get into. I'm going to pick the one that I think I'm going to be the happiest at. and I'm going to extract every bit of experience and knowledge I can from that experience. Internal locus of control.
This goes back to your bed breaking situation, which is you can also go back to that college. The story doesn't end with, oh, the girl said no to me, or oh, the college said no to me, or oh, I failed that test, or oh, I tripped and fell. The whole idea is to get back up and reorient yourself and figure out a new way of approach, which might be going to that other college for 2 years, getting your grades up, and then reapplying to that college and say, hey, look, I know I came in and I was a little shy, but this is what I was able to produce at this college. Would you want to take me now? Or figuring out that where you end up going is the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah, because most of your experiences are what you're going to make of them.
Absolutely. And this is the problem with this kind of no-fault kind of attitude, the not my child. What was it? The NIMBYism, not in my backyard, and also like not in my child.
Not in my kid's life.
Not my kid. No, it would never happen to my kid. My kid is perfect.
Something's going to happen, and they better be ready for it.
Yeah, and even if your kid's perfect, it doesn't mean that your insufferable little perfection doesn't annoy somebody else and causes a backlash to your perfect child.
And if your kid really is great at everything they try, you should be more worried about them.
Yeah.
Because at some point in their life, they're not going to be.
Yes.
And it'll be hard to handle.
Yeah.
Versus that other kid who wasn't naturally good at anything, had to work for everything. So then when he's not naturally good or she's not naturally good at this next thing later in life, but it's like, well, I got to work for it. Of course I have to work for it. I've worked for everything.
Yeah.
You have to worry less about them than the kid who's just kind of walking through life and then runs into something they're not good at and is like, well, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, this is one of the issues of, having extreme talent or extreme amount of money or any kind of extreme success there, especially if it's somewhat sudden. Most successful entrepreneurs can at least tell you one failure of a story. Most people just don't have a pure, perfect trajectory, and anyone who does inevitably has a failure afterward.
Yeah.
Because it's nearly impossible to have that track record and not run into some kind of brick wall. The brick walls are inevitable. It's just how do you approach them? Do you go over them? Do you smash your head into them and start crying, or do you actually smash your head into them and blow through them because you're that type of person? I mean, hey, each his own, Or do you find a way to walk around it? How far does that go? How deep does it go? How do I adjust to this new circumstance that's in my way?
How do you handle it when you hit it?
Yeah.
And do you go, who put this brick wall here? Whose fault is this?
Yeah.
Who do I need to complain to and blame for this brick wall being here?
Who put a curtain in front of a closed door and said, run through?
What kind of sociopath? Or are you like, okay, this is on me. I have to figure out how to get through this brick wall. Next time I should check behind the sheet.
Next time, run hands first.
Next time, take a peek first. Exactly. How do you handle it?
Yeah. That's so funny.
Internal locus of control, which makes you more self-reliant, which makes you less helpless.
Yeah.
Which means any situation, no matter how bad it is, always has a room for improvement because you have room for improvement.
And I think this is the other issue that I see for the modern age of, and I don't remember ever doing this, so I'm not sure when this started, the addressing the teacher with the question, how do I get an A in this class? It's a little bit about the comedic joke about baby on board. And it's like, well, what do I care? If you drive like an idiot, it's not my fault you drive like an idiot. Why do I have to care about you having a baby on board if you cut me off at 75 miles an hour on the highway?
Exactly. I'm cutting you off because I have a kid. It justifies it.
Yeah, justify all my other bad behaviors as a driver.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is I can't ever remember asking a teacher that question. But somewhere along the line, it became the norm to the point that parents, and we have great parents at the dojo, I'm not complaining, but they're still Pavlovian in their desire to see their kids' success in everything in a timely manner, that I think they forget that this is, like you said, internal locus experience.
Yeah.
And inevitably, like your experience when you ask your son or daughter in front of a group of people, it's not for other people to answer. So when parents ask me what their kid needs to do, I pull their kid over and say, why don't you ask them? because they should know.
Yeah.
And if they don't know, then they weren't just listening in the class they just got out of.
And if you're the parent and you're listening to the class from outside,
Yes.
then you already heard.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many times I've heard you tell my son, here's the things you still have to work on. Here's the things you're great on. Here's the things you still have to work on to get your belt. So then he comes out and we talk, you did great. That was awesome. Good job with this, this, and this. What are the things we have to work on? And he knows.
Yeah.
He tells me every time, I got to work
Yeah.
on this and I got to work on that.
And just for the record, how old is your son?
6.
There we go. No, and that's
Exactly.
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take a very old age to get, he told me.
Yeah.
I know what I have to do. These are the
Yeah.
things I have to work on.
No, and it's I think it's a bit that kids are also embarrassed, and this is an interesting dynamic. We're just thinking about this again, how parents interface with their kids and how their adult concerns infuse their kids' inability to discuss those concerns with their parents because they're embarrassed. So the parent doesn't want to see a kid do poorly, and a kid doesn't want to come home and explain that they're incapable of achieving what the parent wants because they're just not capable yet, or they don't have a level of concentration yet, or they don't have the level of physical control yet, or they don't have the memory yet. I'm working with a kid who's autistic, and he has a really difficult time memorizing things, including, I want you to work on X, one technique. Right now, face that wall. I put a little mark on the wall with a piece of tape. I want you to kick that thing 10 times each foot, so it'll be 20. I'll be back. Yeah. And literally, as soon as I walk away 10 feet, I'll turn around and he's not really sure what to do. But now, 3 months later, he can do 10 punches on his own, 3 blocks on his own, 5 kicks on his own. He can do the double arrow form, which is a series of blocks and punches and stepping, all on his own. He might need reminding of what he's supposed to work on, but then now that I prompt him what he's doing, he does this much, whereas before he could barely do this much. So it's just a matter of presenting that opportunity over and over again and building up that physicality as well as the mentality. I tell kids about concentration. It's just the same as lifting weights. If I give you a 100-pound weight, it's like, go ahead and pick it up. Kid's like, no way. So what if I give you a 10-pound weight? Well, I could probably pick that up. That's what concentration's like. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What's the next punch, or what's the next kick, or how many parts are there to it? I can answer that one. Okay, great. Well, then 5 years from now, I'll be asking you to show me a 120 move sequence.
Yeah.
And then dealing with someone twice your size in a self-defense situation, and you're going to have to make the best of it. You might not win, but you're going to handle yourself for a long period of time, and you're going to learn a lot from it. That's a big difference.
Definitely.
Then let me just spoon feed you.
And kids with autism, their brains still develop and change and interact and grow, and they just interact differently.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't learn, but all it would have taken is that parent saying, Darren, he can't do that. Right? That's it.
Yes.
And parents underestimate how easy it is to undermine the entire process.
100%.
All I would have to do is, Gabe comes out and says, I'm close to getting my yellow belt. And all I would have to do is say, Darren, he's been here for this many months. Why doesn't he have his yellow belt yet? It's your fault he doesn't have his yellow belt yet, is what I'm implying. Mm-hmm. I just undermine the entire process with one statement.
Yep.
And it's so hard for you to recover from that, because I'm the parent, and he's looking at me going, oh, I deserve this. Mm-hmm. I deserve the yellow belt. I should have it by now. The work isn't the focus anymore. I just undermine the whole thing with one statement. It's that easy. It's so easy.
And we all do that all the time, and we do that to each other on a whole different scale. Just being angry with each other, or being frustrated internally. Like, your internal locus can still screw up an external experience with somebody just because you're in a foul mood and you say something flippant to somebody and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to work really hard to repair that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're 100% right, and the kids pick that up very easily, and it doesn't always have to be verbal.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. And it can shut kids down from wanting to strive. And the parents that navigate it best, and I've heard parents tell me about it, like yourself, when they see their son or daughter expressing the issue that their friend has been promoted above them or ahead of them, great parents, and most of our parents tell me these stories, so I'd imagine most of our parents are great at dealing with this. They say, well, are you practicing as hard as they are? Have you been going as long as they have? And the fact that they asked those two questions, I'm just like, yes, high five. Like that's all that needs to be asked to kind of keep that process going and growing that interest of, oh, it really isn't a financial or philosophical argumentation that my parents have to engage in with Darren in order for me to succeed. It's actually on me.
Yeah.
It's on me?
Yeah.
Really? I'm not sure if I like that.
Exactly. And it's just on me.
Yes.
I have control over this. But then if you were just like, you've been here for 10 months, so you get your yellow belt. The yellow belt will get thrown to the side when they get home. It'd be exciting for a moment.
Yes.
And then it's meaningless.
Yep.
Versus a little piece of tape around the edge of his belt. Because it's like, I did this. I know what I did to earn this. I earned this myself.
Yeah.
The belts, the tape, it all has meaning because you gave it meaning because internal locus of control. I have control over this. You weren't given anything. You earned this.
You know, it's really interesting. There's a statement about cultural values or something like cultural values are peer pressure from dead people. That's what it was.
That's a good one.
And it was really
That's a
cool
good one.
because it just made me think of what you said, which is we collectively are imbuing value to anything. So if I gave you this cup, you know, and you don't drink, you just absorb things through your fingers, and that's how you are as a genetically designed being. This is completely useless to you. Like, what do you do with this?
Yeah.
You actually
Why do you have these?
What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You cretin. You want something to drink, you just put your hand in a puddle of water or whatever it is, and you just
absorb it.
the hydration out of that. Like, and when you're creating that value system with a patient or a student or your kid, it's so important that both understand the value and both keep the checks and balances on that value. And oftentimes I'll actually bring that up to kids and I'll say, do you think somebody should earn a yellow belt because they feel badly? And it's great to see them just check the values. Absolutely not. That's not fair. I'm gonna work my butt off, right? I only have 2 stripes. I'm like, okay, good. It's just like it's like a gut check. Let's just check in and see if we still have established the same value system. And even though you don't really know what that value system feels like just yet, which is really the interesting thing, is you never know what earning your yellow belt is until you're basically the next belt.
Yeah.
You know, you never know what it's really like to, to have some success with a patient until you've had success with a patient, and then all of a sudden it dawns on you. The patient says, "Thank you so much. I learned so much. I feel like I've gotten X, Y, and Z out." And then you're almost a little dumbfounded, like, "Whoa, wait, it worked. It worked.
Are we there?
It's stuck.
Did we get there?
We got someplace.
Yeah.
Holy cow!" Because you need to have that confirmation by at least two people involved.
Yeah.
That's why it's called confirmation. Affirmation is like, I did a great job, you know? Or I look at my results, okay, but even the results are a confirmation. It's really kind of funny. I just never really thought about the affirmation confirmation that way. But even in a inanimate object is a confirmation of your success. If I meant to kick X and I managed to kick X or punch X or whatever it is, then I made contact with it correctly.
Yeah.
Confirmation.
Yeah.
Terrific.
If you kick a board and it breaks, it confirmed that you did it in the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas affirmation is, I know I can do it. Pretty sure I can do it? No. I know I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
And having that level of confidence and building that affirmation confirmation bridge through those experiences, putting that new combination of words of building, experience building. I'm digging on that. I'm going to have to keep working on that.
I like that experience building.
And
yeah.
Then you actually create something in yourself worth protecting. It's really interesting how many times I've asked kids that question over the years, which is, first off, do you think you're worth protecting? And I love catching kids who aren't paying attention and they just say no out of I've been thinking, okay, really? I was like, you're not worth protecting? Like, can I go over there and just take your belt? No, no, no. Like, can I just take your jacket? No, get off of me. Like, can I just shave your head? No, mock shave your head with my hand. No, leave my hair alone. Okay, just wondering, because you didn't really seem convinced that you're worth protecting. Are you worth protecting? Yes, okay. Because I think that's part of the trail to hopelessness, is not checking in and getting your own affirmation, confirmation of, I am worthy of protecting.
Yeah.
I think we spend a lot of time trying to explain to kids they're not the center of the universe, but when you're standing in the center of the universe, you're the center of your own universe. You know, and if you want to be the change that you know, like if you want to see change in the world, start with yourself, kind of thing. So it's really confusing. Again, we talk about these adages that are very confusing to kids. Is you're not the center of the universe, but be the change you want to see in the world. What? Like what?
And we never quite explained the whole thing out, that, you know, you're the center of your own universe.
Yes.
But you're not the center of everyone else's universe.
Yes.
And you usually get one message or the other, and it's confusing because it's like that person is the center of their own universe. They're going to be looking out for themselves. Not that you can't look out for somebody else, but don't expect everyone else to be looking out for you. Expect that you're going to have to make changes in your own universe yourself.
Well, this is where I think, and just, you know, brushing up against the politics of it, is why a civics lesson is so important. And understanding what true freedom is being free enough to be responsible to blaze your own path without impeding someone else from blazing theirs.
Yeah.
And in that effort, finding like-minded people, building a coalition of people in your life that you call friends and family and colleagues, so that you are not only empowering each other as your own kind of solar system, so to speak, but then as well as watching each other's back during your times of weakness and kind of helping each other out. And you know, just sorry to go a little bit more politically wise, but what's interesting about families is, again, don't have kids, but I would imagine communism is way more of what a family unit is like, because it's to each according to their need and ability.
Yeah.
You're not going to expect your kid to bring home the bacon.
Yeah.
Unless it's, you know, a child actor, and even that is like really kind of their own earnings. So you're like stealing from them, which is why people like Macaulay Culkin, you know, sue their parents for, you know, for independence, is a problem. But you really are kind of looking out for each other on your ability. And then when it comes to self-sufficient human beings, communism doesn't work. Because once I know you'll carry the workload and you're taller and bigger than I am, like, why am I going to try and carry as much as he is?
Or once you see someone else slacking, you're like, well, why am I trying so hard?
And he's slacking, I'm trying, and this guy's a big guy. Like, I'll just keep passing it on to you. You're the workhorse now.
And then suddenly I'm like, why am I doing all this? And then none of us are trying.
Yeah, and then everyone's just like, forget it. It's to kind of wrap this up in a funny thing, because I don't want to go any further down this road, is that one of my students' fathers traveled to Russia, studying Russian, like in a broad situation, and he was a Midwest farmer growing up. He's maybe 10 years older than I am. And when he met some of the farmers, the first thing he did in a farmhouse was get up really early, expecting to do a whole bunch of work that he would do on his farm. And he saw nobody around. He's looking around, and he sees these two older guys that are sitting on the porch and smoking a pipe or something like that. And in his basic Russian, asks, you know, what's happening? What's the
like, where is everyone? What are we doing? Yeah.
And the guy says, we make 5 bushels, we get 5 rubles. We make 0 bushels, we get 5 rubles. So we sit and we make no bushels, and we get 5 rubles. And there you have it. You know, there it is. And that's the epitome of the play and helplessness of not allowing a kid to experience the hard work, the purpose, and the dedication to actually having the internal locus to make the changes they want in their life and blaze that trail toward success and mitigate the little miniature disasters that can turn into catastrophic disasters such as suicide. Boom.
That was a great
case
closing
done.
statement. That was perfect. Yeah.
Quick, let's get out before I think more complicated.
Yeah. Perfect.
I
Yeah,
guess
that was a
that's it.
perfect way to end it.
Man, another one in the hopper. Well done. Kudos to us. Affirmation. Confirmation.
Confirmation.